Okay, so this morning I was like, I'm gonna use Koala to make some music, but I prefer to use it on the desktop, and here's why. On the desktop, I have access to not only all my instruments plugins, right, that are more high end than the stuff on the iPad, but I also can use the iPad plugged in and use the instruments on it into the MacBook. The MacBook is my place of destination preferred because you have so much more tools to get stuff completed, and I can experiment in so many ways that it's unbelievable. But there's an instrument that I've kind of slept on for a while, and it's called Thumb Jam. Now I've had it, oh my goodness, for a couple years, maybe 3 years, 4 years, but I just never used it because I was going a different direction musically, I guess. Um, but one of the hang pan drums they have in there sounds really cool. So today I was like, I'm gonna try to use it. I usually don't keep it on the iPad, but I'm gonna mess around with it, see what I come up with. So what I did was I created, on what you're seeing here, basically a rhythm that I like initially, and I'll show you what it sounds like. That's basically what I was playing. I just did that live, give or take. So then when I plugged it in, I chopped the samples up. And the reason why I chopped it up is because if you play a little bit off, then it's going to be a little bit off, right? So you can replay it if you chop the samples. It's a lot easier. Um, so let me show you where you can take it even a step further. Of course, you can put effects on it, etc., etc. But beyond the effects, having these as one note, not setting them as one shots, because if they're one shots, it's going to play all the way through. But if you set them just as like, we'll keep the one shot off. We might call that a gate, right? So where it only plays as long as you hold it, it becomes more like an instrument, right? You can't, it's as long as you sustain it. Said that twice, sis. As long as you can sustain the note or hold the note, then it'll ring out, right? For the length of that note. So what that allows you to do is go in Koala and add in little ghost notes. And then you can create different rhythms. So that's what I did here. So I took basically what sounds okay, turned it into this, which can now be resampled into a pad by clicking resample loop, and it generates the loop. So what does this mean? Well, this means that I could create multiple patterns, right? These are 4-bar patterns. So this one has a melody kind of attached to the rhythm. Now, if I wanted to, I could go and copy this and change out some of the patterns. So maybe I want to drop that. Maybe I want that to not be there. Maybe I want to let go of that one, but add in this one. And then instead of these two, I'll just let it ring out at the end. So this is what this sounds like. It's a little less busy. Okay, so now I have my second rhythm, and I'm going to go ahead and resample that one. So now I have two. All right. Now these can stay here if you want, if you're not going to sequence these, but these allow you to have your structure of what you played, right? And now you can take these samples here and place them as you want. And I'm going to name them just so I know which one is what. So this is going to be labeled I'm going to call it chorus. Okay. And then this one, all right, verse. So now I have the verse and that. Now it would be cool if we could name them here. There was a little line up here, and maybe one down below here, just to be able to know what these parts are. But that's something for future. So right now, this is what it is. All right, so I'm going to go in here, and I know these are 4 bars, so I'm just going to double. And then I'm going to know that section B houses the actual loop that I want. So maybe I want to start with the chorus. Then I'm just going to copy over, make this easier, and just drag this one down. Now this will be the verse. So chorus, verse. And they should match because right above it, you see this is the chorus, this is the verse. So I'm doing that for my own sanity. You don't have to do that, by the way. Something else, let me see if this works. Yes, it does. Okay, so a lot of people don't know this too, and I don't know, or maybe they do, but that you can mix and merge samples. This has been here for a while. You can even swap them. That was something added not too long ago, but the adding to the end has been there, and the mix, as far as I remember, have been there. So what that means is that I can make my parts on different sequences and then add them in as I want to. So I could go in and start formulating a drum because maybe I don't want my drums to be more than 2 bars, right? So this is one way to do it, and then you can beef it up to where you want it to be 4 bars. Now I don't have any drum samples in here. I'm going to have to put some, which I probably will put in this sequencer here, and B. Maybe I'll go to C and leave B as my final parts or whatever. But no, I'm just going to use B, whatever. Okay, so now you're hearing the mic while it is coming through here. If I turn this off, you still should be able to hear it. So you're just getting the extra. This is for my instruments, more or less. But if you go to, this is the MacBook version, you see I have it coming through various sources because the iPad's running through that source. And then if you're using loopback, like I am, you can see my audio hijack is going on, which is keeping that suppressed noise down so you don't hear it in the background. Of course, the iPad is running through there. Now, what's weird is you don't see it hitting any volumes here. But if I delete this, then you won't be able to hear the pass through. So it is passing through the audio, just so you know. All right, cool. That's the mixer, which you can do some other stuff if you want to change these up a little bit. But I'm going to go in and import some files. Now, the good thing is I don't really need that import on MacBook for sure. You can do, and you can do this, I think, on desktop too, if I'm not mistaken. You can just go in and start grabbing your drums that you want. You shouldn't have to do anything more or less. I'm going to use lifted noise vinyl drums. I haven't used these in a while, but he's a cool cat, and I appreciate it. I bought these. They're kind of already textured and tailored for you too. I'm going to take that kick, and then let's grab a snare. I'm going to move this over here and make it a little bit smaller so you can snares. Make sure these are one shot. You want to get rid of some of that. Turn the release up to get rid of some of that crackle at the end if you don't want it. And that you got to be careful. There we go. And then let's grab, where'd it go? Oh, right there. Let's grab a hat. I'll take that one. If you hear an echo, it could be the gate that's on my voice, I think, maybe that's causing that. Could be. I don't 100% know. I'm fine with that. We'll turn this. Okay, or it could be these drums. I don't use them often enough to remember, so I'm just gonna mess with them right now. I prefer to play these in, but for right now, we're gonna just draw in some notes, right? We know this is the snares, pretty simple. And this is just 2 bars. And then, of course, this is where drawing in, you have to do a little more work because you got to set these velocities. But this is only 2 bars, so I'm not really panicking or like sweating having to draw in something. It's not that big of a deal. I'm going to make this one really low. Now there's currently no swing on this at all. So you could, if you wanted to, add a little swing or something like that. And then the hats, we're going to use note repeat with velocity. I feel like that sample has got too much, maybe too much release on it. Yeah, there we go. That's a little better. Not trying to really do trap drums here, just doing this for velocity purposes, by the way, in case you're wondering. There you go. So you've set some drums. These aren't my favorite drums. Of course, I would want to do better. You can duplicate the track here, double up, and they'll just give you 4 bars, and that's pretty simple. Then you go in and adjust parts or add in extra parts. So maybe you want something like that. Start adjusting the velocities a little bit. Maybe throw in that. Maybe you want a double snare instead of a kick on the end. Like that. And then adjust the velocity on it, on one of the snares. And I do think you should adjust the velocities on some of these snares too, just to give it some life. They need a little reverb too. Not a lot, but a little. Right? So on these drums at least. So I'm gonna, instead of going to the mixer, I'm just gonna use this. All right, put this on hold. Now you can resample this if you want. Same principle we did the last time. You could just go resample the loop. It's going to resample with those effects on it. So now you can sequence that portion. Maybe you just do this. And if I'm not mistaken, that is B3. If you want to check, just here. Yep, that's it. So now you have your parts, right? Here's the drums. Here's this. You have the breakdown of them. Now this has seemed like a lot of work to some people. They don't want to do all this. But for me, when you're sequencing the song parts, it's much easier just to do them this way and then rename this. So you could call this the drum break or whatever you want to call it. That's what I'm going to call it at least. Tools, label, drum break. And then if you want to fill on the drum break, you can bring a sample in for the fill. So don't record. If I'm not mistaken, I think we go back to his drum kits because I know he uses fills. Back in there, lift it. Yeah, there you go. Hold up a second. I'm going to clean up this folder because there we go. Used to be when you used samples in Ableton, it would have to save these location points. I found a way to turn that off because it drove me crazy that it would create all these files. There we go. Now we're back to just having this. That's fine. Something simple. I don't want, it'll sound real. That might even be better. Let's try that one. So where do we place it? That's the question. So I'm going to use, for placement purposes, I'm going to use this down here. And I don't know if that's enough. It may take this. But what you can do is shorten this portion. We'll see if it meshes up. I should have probably synced it. Yeah, definitely have to do that. You need to stretch it so it's 2 beats. It's a little too slow for me. Do repitch? Maybe. That's too slow. Okay. So you get the point though of how you can create. You're going to have to sit here and there may be some things in here to fix these samples. What I would do is probably take the stretch off. Make a copy of one that is like maybe that. And then the other one would start there. And you just find your points. Having it split that way instead of it being one whole sample. Maybe put that one there, that one there. All right. Now I'll go back to the sequence here. And we'll use a portion, that one. And that. You can also break this up and recreate the break or the thing. I'll show you. Did it not? Hold up a second. Maybe. Put this as close as you can to. Okay. Let's try this again. Still not where I wanted, but you get the idea. So you could make two of these, right? Have one, maybe because you don't want that fill to happen too much. So maybe delete the fill and only keep the fill for half of the bar. You could also make your own fill. Something simple. Let's do that, actually. Since we're on here, why not? All right, so we're going to get rid of this. Push this back over here. Now to create my own fill, I'm going to go to like a 1 bar, maybe make it 2. Generally, I don't even think I need that, but let's just do 1 bar. All right. And we're going to go to the drums that are on here, which is primarily. So how could we do this? We could go maybe make a kick. Another kick in between. I'm just randomly placing these, adjust the velocities in these so that they're not hitting at full. Something like that. And there. Notice that I'm putting the snares still on the 2 and the 4, just so that the timing doesn't get really wonky. And then you could always add another snare here. Maybe throw a kick off and then do this. Turn these snares really low on volume and then add like a kick there. So if you don't like it, let's see, start taking out. Could be something as simple as that. It's not the greatest, but it is what it is. Let's resample that portion. And we'll call this a fill. So we'll go back to here. Label, drum, fill. Now that, if you hear that noise, that's me typing. When you type on there, obviously you're touching the microphone. So, okay, so how would I put this in here? We're gonna go here, and this is a 1 bar. So we're gonna fill it on this one. All right, cool. So now that we know this is where this is, each one of these corresponds to what's up here. If we want to throw the fill in, we know it's only a bar. We're going to just remove the 4th bar here. Okay. So now you have and if you really didn't like, maybe if you wanted to, and you say, well, I like this end, but I don't care for the way it starts, you could take out some of this parts and, just catch what you want. Obviously, we know that's sampling and cutting parts and pasting them together. But anyway, you get the point? All right. So now let's put this with the sample here. We'll see how it sounds. All I'm going to do is drag in there and just do mix. Pretty simple, right? And if you want to do the same here, mix. Now you have this, but maybe on this first part, verse. I'm saying verse, not first. Just so you know, sometimes my English isn't great, even though it's the only language I know. Oh, I'm terrible. Sorry, I had to take a sip of coffee or something. All right. So now you see, you could have this one going. Sequence to the end. So go ahead and trigger this one. Then it'll go into your verse part. Yep. So that's a simple way to make a song. And I'm using the iPad. There's other sounds in here. I could change the instrument. Let's see if they got a bass. I'm just using this one instrument, but I'm just trying to see. Eh. Sounds pretty good though, not bad. I love this little Irish flute. Anyway, all right, that's it for this video. Just wanted to show you guys a couple little cool tricks and techniques you can use to create. This is more for the beginner guys. Intermediate folks kind of know this stuff. This isn't really super in depth, but I think for you intermediate people that never thought about this, using the iPad or even the iPhone, because you can do it with both, into your MacBook and using the MacBook version of Koala, it's pretty sweet. So you get all your instruments, but you get the opportunity to use the MacBook workflow, which most importantly out of all things gives you an input and an output. For whatever reason, the Apple iOS stuff, you can't change this. You can change the input, but whatever you plug in last is going to be what the output is. So there is some workarounds for that, but yeah, it would be nice if we could just change the input and the output on a iPad. Anyway, enjoy. Have a good day. It's Friday, and I'm out.